Okay, now, to summarize the presentation that we've had this morning, I would say that among the strengths of Indonesia is that it's one of the most populous countries in the world, one of the most populous Muslim population in the world as well. It's got a massive land area, it's a resource-rich country, but it's also facing quite a number of challenges, among the main one being corruption, which I think they have admitted that it is an issue that they are trying to eradicate. It also have got quite a number of natural disasters issue, the most recent one being Mount Merapi, and finally poverty eradication. 14% of the Indonesian population are living below the poverty line. Okay, I would like to actually now just straightaway open the question and answer session to the floor. So we'll take 3 questions, and the first one being related to Indonesia. So if you have any questions, please feel free to walk straight to the nearest mic. Yes, please.
My name is David Sim, a lecturer at Harvard Club, Malaysia alumni. Any of the panelists can answer this question. Since Malaysia make it very important to develop the Islam banking sector as a hub, can you please give us an overview of what the government is doing to develop the Islam banking sector in your country?
The question is directed to both the speakers, I presume. So, Pak Irhoan, do you have anything to add?
My apologies. Can you repeat the question?
What is the Indonesian government doing to develop the Islamic banking sector in Indonesia?
I think at the moment, I think government is developing the Islamic banking. It has not been growing as fast as we would like to see that has been growing. I think one of the issues in the Islamic banking is relating to the translations of the Islamic principles into the financing. That's what I understand the challenges that the government is facing at the moment. But if you look at the last few years, in the last couple of years, there have been a lot of movement in terms of improving this Islamic financing. There are a lot of Sharia banking in Indonesia. I think almost all big banks in Indonesia have a Sharia unit in their banks. It's been growing, but it's not as fast as as we would like to see. Probably the infrastructures, the educations of this Islamic banking to the people need to be done by all the respective parties involved in the Islamic financing.
Okay, thank you, Pak Irhoan. Does Ferry have anything to add?
Yes, I want to add. Basically, in the past 3 to 4 years, the Islamic banking in Indonesia actually have been growing, although it's not as fast as compared to Malaysia. Currently, the proportion of the Islamic banking out of the total asset in Indonesia is only about 3%. But more and more banks in Indonesia, especially the big banks, actually have established the Sharia banking unit. The latest one was actually Bank Central Asia setting up their Sharia business banking unit. But I think going forward, Sharia banking could potentially be representing about 5 to 10% of the total Indonesian banking assets in Indonesia. And then if we see in the past few years, there have been quite a number of sukuk bonds actually have been issued in Indonesia as well. So it just is about to start basically in Indonesia. And I think the growth it's been it started from a low base, so the growth actually has been moving pretty fast. Although in terms of percentage of the total banking in Indonesia, still very small, unlike in Malaysia, where it's actually representing a very big proportion of the total banking sector.
I think that Indonesia has huge potential in Islamic banking, because as you would know that it's actually one of the most populous Muslim population. So there will be a huge demand, much bigger than Malaysia actually. So I'll welcome another question from the floor.
That will be the last question for today, for this session.
Hi, I'm Melissa from Malaysian Palm Oil Association. But Irhoan, I think you mentioned in your slide that with the infrastructure supply power deficit, how fast do you see Indonesia moving on renewable energy and clean energy?
On the renewable energy, I think there have been an initiative in terms of developing this sector, but the way that I see is that it is not the main priority of the Indonesian government at the moment, because they are really have to prioritize them, which are the sectors that they need to improve significantly. At the moment, I think the main agenda of the government of Indonesia is on the infrastructure. This post, I've been to many conferences in Indonesia. I think the theme is the same. Infrastructure is really the key area that the government needs to focus. So I would say, yes, there has been some focus on the renewable energy, a number of companies entering into this business in Indonesia, but it's not has a great deal of attention for the time.
Okay, if I may add, basically the same thing like Pak Irhoan mentioned. Well, renewable energy is not a priority at this point in time, given that the electrification ratio in Indonesia is only about 60%. So only 60% of the population in Indonesia actually have electricity access. So now actually the main focus for the government is basically to build a power plant, and it's mainly the coal-fired power plant. So in the past 2 to 3 years, the government actually building about 10,000 coal-fired power, 10,000 megawatt coal-fired power plant, and then for the next plan, another 10,000 megawatt will be a combination of coal-fired power plant, geothermal, as well as a gas power plant. So this is basically more of like a healthier source of energy as compared to the coal, as we understand that coal. But coal is still the cheapest in terms of cost generation. So this actually has been the focus for the government, because in terms of electricity generation, coal representing about 70% of the electricity generation in Indonesia in terms of the capacity, but in terms of cost, coal is only about 30%. While on the other hand, oil representing about 25 to 30% of the total capacity generation in Indonesia, but the cost is like 75%. So they've been switching from fuel oil power plant to coal-fired power plant. So I think over the next 2 to 3 years, renewable energy is not the first priority for the government, but when Indonesia move up, electrification ratio increase, then I think the government will basically looking towards more the